listeners, Harika here, and I'm super excited to welcome you to UppTalk. If you're ready to learn and get your hands work wonders in the world of information technology, then you're in the right place. When I say UppTalk, we are not just another edtech company. Consider we are your learning partner committed to unlocking your full potential. Whether you're stepping into the world of technology for the first time or looking to advance your career, we provide top-tier, hands-on courses to build up your career. Let's take our first step towards learning here and explore it.
The task to create custom report, that is, create custom report. And in this we will put the name. I'll just try to create an advancement because that would be relevant for everybody. And this is not going to be a web service report. I'm just using a normal report. Let's say I'm going to use a data source. Like all active and dominated worker, because this is the most used data source you will have in your list. And I'll go ahead and click on. How many of you know that when you create a report, you can use multiple business objects? I'm sure everyone would know it, right? Because you have gone through the reporting sessions. Now let's add field. Let's say first name. And then let's add last name as well. And what we can do. Let's add gender. And I'm going to basically go into different business objects. I've picked 3 values from worker, and let's say I'm going to pick 1 value from job profile. Let's look at it. In the job profile, let's say we will use compensation grade. Do you know the use of column heading over? And I hope everyone does right. What is this column useful? Great. Now what we will do, let's add one more business object as dependents. Dependents, and maybe we will pick the gender of dependents. How many male dependents are there? How many female dependents are there? That we will see. And then let's say we are putting a heading override like gender of dependents. And let's add a filter because you know this tenant will have unwanted data. And let's say that I'm putting a filter on gender. And this, where can we put a filter? Can we put a filter on a worker or can we put a filter on anywhere? Only on workers, the primary business object. And what is the reason behind it? That is, I'm not sure. It's actually by design that we can only add filters on the field of a primary business object. In this, my primary business object is worker. I can never add a filter on the field of job profile or dependents. Let's see. I'll say gender should not be empty. I'll just mention in that way that I don't want any employee who has not put the gender because that is an unwanted value. And then when we actually run the report, when you actually build a report, You get 3 options right. Run, test, and done. I'm sure you know what is the meaning of run, test, and done. I'm going ahead and running this report now. Now you see I have got first name, last name, gender. Compensation grade is blank. And then I've got gender of dependents as well. All these values are coming. Correct. You see, it's not that gender is always blank here. Gender is also there. But let's take a scenario that I want those employees whose compensation grade is also not blank. I don't want those employees whose compensation grade is coming as blank. Then in that case, what do? Tell me. We'll put a filter on compensation grade. But this field is from job profile. Yes, then we'll have to take it. We'll have to move it to worker using LRV. Look up related value. If I add a sub-filter, then what will happen? What is the concept of sub-filter? We can add, we can add, we can add. Let's see. If I'm adding a sub-filter, which means I'm adding a business object. First right. What is my business object here? Job profile, job file. And then my field name. Come create. And what is the condition that I want to hear? Is not blank, is not blank. Is not empty. And I'll go ahead and click on. Let's run the report and let's see what happens. This is still blank. First name, last name, gender composition, guild, gender or dependence. It is still blank. Why is that? Because we have put a filter on worker and it is escaping the sub-filter value. I'm sorry, but I did not understand. Did anyone else understand what you're trying to say? I'm saying that we have put a filter on worker. We will always put a filter on worker only, right? You cannot put a filter on any other business object if worker is your primary business object. What you're saying is correct. I'm not denying that, but are you able to help everybody understand? That is the question. That is what I wanted to know. Is everyone clear? What exactly is going on? Is there any confusion? Let me know, guys. Otherwise, I will feel that you know it. I will not explain it. Ashish. We are getting what we are doing on the background. But what Lalita said is correct. But that's the reason you're moving the fields ahead, that it will filter out the worker data instead of dependence data. Now, I'm not doing anything as such. I'm just arranging it in a proper way. Earlier worker data was not coming properly, in the sense it was coming at the last. And I'm just trying to put it at the front. Or just run the report. It will still not make a difference. Basically, my compensation grade is still coming as blank. See, now I've got first name, last name, gender. But the compensation grade is still blank. And we know that compensation grade has values. It is not that it will not have. At least for few employees, there will be values. Correct. Not every employee, but few employees there will be. Now the situation is, I have a field where I want to get the values, but it is coming as blank. Maybe because of the conflicting logic of two different business objects. Yes, there is. But the situation is like that. You need to get the data from compensation grade. I'm sorry, from job profile only. That is your requirement. Let me show you. What if we remove the filter from gender? Will it take it? I don't know. Let's do that. Let's do it. This session is completely, giving you a concept which you would need in your day-to-day activity. And that's the reason I am not answering any questions without showing anything. Don't take in that way that I'm trying to test you. No, nothing like that. Just to make sure that your concepts are clear. Now I've removed the filter. You see, I've got more data now. And there are employees whose gender would also be blank. The first name would also be blank. A lot of things, unwanted data would be there, right? Still, my compensation grade is not working. The filter which I have put, I'm sorry, not the filter, but the sub-filter which I have put on compensation grade. Still, that is not working. Guys, this concept you cannot forget. The priority is always your filter. And the fields of the primary business object. This is a rule. This is a thumb rule. You cannot forget this, that the priority will always be given to a field which is of primary business object. Here, my field of primary business object is first name, last name, and gender. And accordingly, the value of related business objects will be displayed. Even if it is blank, it will still display it blank. If I'll check for Logan, let's see. Let me open a duplicate tab. And let's try to get into Logan McNeil and see the compensation grade. I'm sure it is blank, but let's verify it. Let's go into Logan McNeil and see the compensation grade. How we can see that? I hope you all know it. We go to compensation or from job. I think we can see. Both the places are correct. We can go from compensation also. And you can go from the job profile also. Both the things are correct. Grade is there. But compensation grade is not there. Compensation package is there, but compensation grade is missing. Are you getting the point? They have created a field which is grade. And this is a custom field. This is not a standard field of Workday. That's the reason that value is not coming there. I hope you understood it. Now understand the fact. Someone is saying something. No, I said, just got it. Alright. Now, we need those employees whose standard compensation grid is not empty. Now you found out that there is no relation between a filter and a sub-filter. It cannot have a relationship, right? It cannot have any and or with them. Correct. Did you get it? Filter runs separately and subfilter runs separately. If there is a conflict, as someone said, write that because of the conflict between a primary business object and related business object, we are not able to get the details. Now there comes a requirement. Let me show the requirement. Let's say it says display the first name, last name, gender, compensation grade. Job profiler where job profile's compensation grade is not empty. I hope you are able to understand the condition. It says display first name, last name, gender. These three are from worker. A compensation grade that is coming from job profile. A job profile itself is required on this particular report. And then it says that job profile's compensation grade should not be empty, which means they want that this particular field should not be empty. Now we build a report. We build a report where exactly I'm getting first name, last name, gender, compensation grade. And this compensation grade is coming from job profile. Now the client is saying that I don't want this particular field to be empty. I only want to have this condition. What is my condition? That this particular field, which belongs to job profile, it should not be empty. And based on that, I want to filter the data. Correct? Did you understand the requirement? And it also wants a field called job profile. Now understand this kind of situation will happen. And then you will be asked that. If I have to do certain things, how am I going to go ahead and bring those data on my report? First of all, if I can bring the values of compensation grade onto a field of a primary business object, if I'm able to bring the values of compensation grade onto a field of a primary business object, can I add a filter there? First, we will have to filter the filter. And then we can bring it to workers' business option. That is what I understood. But my question is if I'm able to bring the value of compensation grade onto a field which is on worker, can I add a filter then? Oh no. You're saying like we'll bring compensation grade through LRV and then we are able to add that filter. That's the question. You can bring it through LRV. You can do that. But what is my condition? My condition says that I also need the job profile, right? Job profile we can use for worker, right? We will be able to see. In this scenario, I can use a combination of calculated fields and I don't need to add any other business object and I can bring those values. Let's see that. This is a very interesting example which I have picked because this is a recent requirement which actually came from a client. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. If I take it in a normal report, it will give you the latest one. But let's say if I am extracting the compensation grade and bringing on to any other business object, it will bring all the values. It will not only bring the last value, but it will bring all the values, right? Or no? Here, we have to understand that if I'm using LRB, it is going to give me all the values, not just one. Are you getting the point? We'll have to extract single instance from this. Just to try to understand, LRB is useful, but it is not going to give me one value. It is going to give me all the values. If I'm getting all the values, which is the latest compensation grade, how will I know? I will not be able to know it, right? Right? First of all, I have to extract all the non-empty values of compensation grade. That is my first requirement. Now how I can go ahead and get all the non-empty values? We have heard about a calculated field which is called as Boolean field. Or you can consider that as a true false function, right? True false, what it will do as per your condition, it will extract the value from that particular field. But it will not display it. It will tell you whether it is true or whether it is false. I have compensation grade value. It is not blank. It means it is stored in that particular function, right? Which means I have got the not blank value with me. What is that value? I don't know. But I know that it is not blank. First, I have to get that value. Guys, the task to create for people, those who have not created a calculated field. Let's understand this. The task to create a calculated field is create calculated field. It's very simple. Now we can put a name. Let's say CB1 underscore CF underscore TF. It is true false. And because I have kept it such a name that I am able to remember that what kind of function I am going to use. Now from where I have to extract that data. This field is compensation grade, right? Now here it says, tell me the business object where exactly you want to extract the data. What will the business object be here? Which business object do you think will require here? Job file, job profile. Excellent. Now you have seen that there are multiple functions, right? I told you that I will give you the complete documentation of this. But let's use this true, false condition first and understand this. Because there are, 30-40 calculated fields. We cannot go all to all. But I will choose, which is the most complex ones and which is basically used almost every day. And I'll give you all the documents which will help you as a reference. Whenever you want to go through it, you can. Now in the calculation, what is my requirement? What is the field that I am looking for? Comp grade, right? No. And what is my condition? Is not. I don't want any blank value. It should not be empty. Is not empty is what I am going to use. Compensation grade is not empty. Once I create it, this field would contain all the non-empty values. Correct. I have now got a calculated field. But if I use it right now, it will not give me any value. It will either tell me yes or no. Yes or no. Right. It will not give me any value. What I am going to do, I am going to go ahead and create another calculated field. Understand the requirement. Compensation grade for those employees which is not blank. I need to display the data. What I have done, I have extracted the non-empty values. That is, through a condition called true, false. But that gives me only Boolean value. Either 0, 1 or true or false, or yes or no. Now, based on this condition, I also want to extract two values. Right. I need to know the job profile. And I also have to display my compensation grade, which is not empty. Now you know there is a relationship between a compensation grade and job profile. When you go through the Coach CM part, I am not sure if you are aware about it or not. But when you create a job profile, a compensation grade would be present there. Are you aware about it? We haven't seen it, but yes. If you have not seen it, let me show it. Alright, let me show it here itself. I don't remember any job profile that I have created. But let's see. This is employee. No, I don't need an employee. Just give me a few minutes. Let me search it because that relationship, understanding of relationship is very important. Then only, you see, I got this account executive right. This is my job profile. When I go into this job profile, I will see a few things like overview, characteristics, and compensation. And when you can create any job profile, it is very, very important that you have to link the compensation grade or grade profile. Because without compensation grade, a recruiter would not be able to know how much is the budget for that job profile. Because, see, when they are trying to look for resources, what they need the job description, which you have it here. Right? Which you have it in the overview that this is the job description. I need all this information. These are the locations from where this all requirement has come. And then I also need the budget. For budget, you need to define the compensation grade. And if you have to define the compensation grade, which means you will have to show the package, not the exact package. But this is the base pay. This is my base pay. And this is the segment which I have. I will have to find out somebody between 4 lakhs to 12 lakhs. That is my range of salary. Now, without compensation grade, a job profile is useless. Whenever there will be a job profile, it means there will be compensation grade for sure. Now, what is my requirement? See, because this type of relationship you need to know to understand and build the calculated case. What does it say? First name, last name, gender. This is the most easy thing. You can get it from worker. And then you have compensation grade and then the job profile. Let's say if I'm able to extract the job profile. And based on that, the compensation grade values will not be part of this report. Is that a possibility? Can you think on that relationship? Let's say I'm displaying the job profile. and I put a filter on job profile. How I will do that? I'll show it to you. And based on that, the compensation grade will not be automatically shown on my report because based on this filter, if I'm able to add a filter, which means this field is present on my primary business subject. Correct? Which one? Job profile. I'm not saying that. I'm creating. I'm using the field of worker. I'm saying I am creating a calculated field and I'm extracting the job profile. And that calculated field is on worker. Understand? This is a very important concept. If I'm able to extract the job profiles and on that job profile, I will put that value on worker business object. Now what is worker here? In my report which I was looking, what is the worker here? Employee with primary. It is a primary business object, right? When you create a report, let me edit it. Don't get confused. This is very important for everybody. All of you have to remember this concept. The importance of primary and related business object is very important and you cannot forget it. What is this? My primary business object is worker. Now, as per the rule, where can I apply a filter? Only on the fields of a primary business object, not on the primary business object. Only on the fields of primary business object. If I have to apply a filter, I have three fields from worker, right? First name, last name, gender. And if I have to apply a filter, I can use these fields or any field which is there in worker. Correct? Now my requirement says that a job profile has to be a part of this report. And this job profile is created, which means a compensation grid would be there also. Because without a compensation grid, job profile is useless. Nobody would create anything or it will not be used where your compensation grid is empty. Correct? Now I am saying you that I am creating a calculated field and I am extracting the job profile. And that calculated field is on worker business object. See, whenever you have to think on the logic, you have to understand what I have to do. Let it be any business object. I don't care. My requirement is I need to get the employees whose compensation grid is not blank and I have to display first name, last name, gender and job profile. And of course the compensation grid, right? These are the 5 fields you need in your report. Right. Correct? Right. Now I know that this compensation grid is on a related business object which is job profile. I cannot add a filter. That's the second rule. You cannot do anything in that. How can I do it? I can bring those compensation grid onto a field which is on primary business object. And I can add that field on my report. And I can add a filter. Or even if I don't add it on the report, I still can add a filter. Right. Right. Correct. But how will that guarantee that my compensation grade is still not blank? That true and false. True and false. What I have done, I have extracted the compensation grid which is not blank. And there you have multiple compensation grid. True. But you also have to understand that now there is one more field which is required in your report, which is job profile. What I'm trying to explain you here is job profiles and compensation grid are tightly bounded together. There is a relationship between both of them. If there is a job profile, there must be a compensation grid. Right? Correct? Correct. Now, when I have a relationship between a job profile and compensation grid, then if I am able to bring the job profile on my report, and if I add a filter on that itself, the compensation grid which is on my report, will that still be blank? That is my question. You are saying if we add job profile field from worker business object and then we use that job profile on filter, then what we are trying to do? No, that is the question. Then do you think that the compensation grade will be blank? But what are we trying to do? What are we trying to do? Again, I'm explaining you the condition once again. And you have to think logically because this is all logical because you have to build the relationship. Now understand the relationship. Once again, when I have a compensation grid, I have created it. That means it will be used in some or the other job profile, right? Because without that, why will I create a job? Compensation grid, right? Second thing, if a job profile is created, that means a compensation grid will also be there, right? Now I've extracted my non-empty compensation grid, which means there is some value, right? Now based on that, can I extract the job profile? Because I have compensation grid, can I not extract the job profile from that? Because they have relation. That is what I am asking you. Right. Based on that, can we not extract the job profile? That is what we are going to see next. I am not going to extract the compensation grid because I already have that in my true false part. I am not going to extract my compensation grid. Now what I will do? Actually, I will go ahead and extract the job profile. Let us see how it works. Field name. Let us say I am creating CB1 underscore calculated fields underscore. Here I am going to extract the single instance. Isa will come. And now this field I have to put on that business object where I can add a filter. Which is that business object where I can add a filter. What does worker? And what is the function I am going to use? Extract. Single instance. And I will go ahead and click on. Now it says source field. The source field is that field which I have to display basically. On the report. What I have to display? Compensation rate. Compensation rate. Compensation rate. That is already present in my report. That's already in my report. What is the field which we do not have on the report? Job file. Job file. And that's what I said few minutes back, that I am going to extract job profiles. From this condition, I am going to display job profile. Once I put the job profile, I have to put the right field. Otherwise, it will not work. And then you see the related business object automatically comes up. Now on what condition I have to extract the job profile? This is where your logic will come now. The true and false. Or listen. Anybody has any doubt on that? The one which we created. That is a true false. You have understood it right. What I am trying to say. Now condition. Condition says that I have got the true false value. Now example. I have an employee, as I stated right, that is there in the organization for a very long time. I'm sorry. You can just ignore it. Let's see this one. There is an employee called Manish, and that person is there in the organization for last 4 years. There must be a change in the compensation grade. See compensation grade 1, 2, 3. Correct. I want the latest one. I don't want if I would have used a lookup, I would have got all the values basically. But I don't want all the values. I want one which is the latest one. For that, there is an option here which says instance to be returned. And I would choose the last occurrence because last will be the latest one, not the first one. Are you getting the point? This is my last occurrence which I will be using. And I am not going to use this. I'm sorry, I told you wrong. I'm going to use this that I am getting the latest compensation grid which is active on that person. Click. And now I'm going to sort this value as per comp grade. Comp grade. Spelling mistake. Or use it ascending because I have not put any other sorting. This will help me. And I'll go ahead and click on now. Now my calculated field is created. We'll go into the report. And let's see. I'll click on add a row basically. And now I have my calculated field which is created on worker. Now what is that calculated field? This is the one, right? But where exactly it is created? This is on job profile. But I have another calculated field which is created on worker. And what is that? This is the one. I fixed, right? I'll search it. CB1 underscore. Let's hit enter. I should get the value. See, I've got ESI. Right. Now, if I have that value on worker, all the things I want to do with the field of the primary business object I can do because it is now on my primary business object. What is my primary business object? Worker. Then let's go ahead and click on. Let's see how it works. Let's see if there is any change. There is no change, guys. My comp grid is also blank. My ESI field is also blank. Why is that? Because we need to put a filter. Correct. Because we need to add a filter, then only it should work. Let's see. Let's put a filter. Or put both the filters that we get only data which is useful. Otherwise, it will be a useless report for us. I don't want any employee whose gender is not there, which means it's a bogus data. And this is a practice tenant. You will have unwanted data in that. And then what I'll do is I will go ahead and use my calculated field. And I'll say I don't want any empty job profiles. And I'll go ahead and click on. And let's see what happens now. Guys, what do you see? Now you see I've got the first name, last name, compensation grade. You can ignore this. I just put it just to, show you something. But that is not relevant in our requirement. My compensation grade is also coming, and my job profile is also coming. It says Senior Business Analyst and SR Business Analyst grade. Let's make it a a readable format that we are able to get what exactly this report is going to give us. Or remove this gender or dependence. It's of no use for us at the moment. And the dependents will have more number of gender. I mean, if an employee has multiple dependents, right? You can have your wife and your children. Some company allows your parents as well to be dependent, right? You will have multiple dependents on one person. That is possible. Are you getting the point? I'm just removing it for the moment because that is not our requirement. And I'll also rename this field because C, B, C or PS. I does not look good. I can say job. Let's put it at the last. Alright, and let's click on. And now click on run. See, I only have 46 employees whose compensation grade is there and also job profile is there. And actually they are having a proper gender also. Right. These values don't go by the value. A value could be anything. They have just put it, a random absurd value. But that is not blank. That is my condition. I am able to achieve this requirement that I want to display first name, last name, gender, compensation grade, and job profile. Right? This was my requirement which I had from the client. Display the first name, last name, gender, grade. Job profile where job profile's compensation grade is not empty. I mean, it was easy if I could have used SQL. Well, it would have been very easy. But Workday does not have any query language. Right. For that purpose only, they gave us this option to basically use the calculated fields. Now, calculated fields are very important concept, guys. We can never ever forget this. You saw how we went ahead and extracted the values. Because if you are clear on this concept, how to get the value that I want, right? You will never face any challenges. And someone said that I can actually go ahead and use a lookup related value and bring all the values of compensation grade onto my primary business object. That is not wrong. But will you get the exact compensation grade? Which is there? No, not the exact one. Not the exact one, right? Because it will give you all the values. I hope you are getting what I am trying to say here. When we have discussed about lookup related value, let's stop on that. Let's use it and try to understand how we can use a lookup related value. Now understand that. On lookup related value, let's try to create one lookup and then see how we can use it. Let's create another calculation. CB1 underscore calculated field underscore log. And let's create it on worker. It would be easy. Function lookup related value. And I will go ahead and click on. What is this word lookup signify? What does it tell you? What does it mean? Looking up is basically searching, right? You are searching for something, correct? Whenever you have this lookup, you have to understand that I am trying to search something and there should be a condition on which I have to search. Let's say I am searching lookup. I am searching a value on certain condition. That lookup has to be given. That condition has to be given. Let's say I can use this condition job profile. Let's say I am going ahead and using that condition. My job profile is just the display name, but actual name is this, correct? And let's say I want to return all active job profiles. Right? That is possible. All active job profiles. Let's see if that value is there or not. You see all active job profiles. In this tenant, whatever job profiles are there, I can actually get it through this lookup. I am able to search those values, correct? Let's say I have created it. Now I have to display it in the report. I will go ahead and edit my report. And let's say I will add field CP1. Let's see. I have got, right. I will use LV and I will go ahead and click on. This might take time because you know there could be hundreds of active job profiles. I hope, because you know people would be creating it. Right? Right. Now you see, what is LRV doing here? Uh, what did it do? Based on this job profile, right? I have searched all active job profiles. If you say 500 plus 9, 45, 96, 97, 98, 59 active job profiles are there in this particular business object. It is displaying everything. Are you getting my point, guys? Did you understand the use of lookup? My question is here. We knew that we have a single extracted field. But how to identify which lookup field we should use? There can be multiple fields, right? You can use any condition. You can change it. For example, I don't want to use my. Let's search that first. I got this field. And this is a calculated field. Now you are saying that I don't want to use this condition. I want to use any other condition. You can use any condition. There is no problem in that. It's basically you have to understand why are we using this. What is my, meaning of lookup? I just explained you why. Because you said that I can go ahead and use a lookup and basically bring the values of compensation grade on worker right. That is what you initially told me when I was using this, that I can bring this compensation grade on worker using LRV. And I can actually put a filter there. But if you will bring the compensation grade through LRV, there will be not one compensation grade, right? There could be multiple compensation, right? That will not fulfill my requirement. My requirement states that I just need only one, the latest value. I don't need anything else. I'm asking, how do you know that this is the field? This is the lookup field. There can be multiple, right? On the job profile that is related to worker. If you want to know what type of field is that, you will have to get into the business object because the property of any field is mentioned there only. Right, right. You will not be able to know by seeing it. There is no way that you see a field and you will know that this is a lookup. There is no option available in Workday as such. Now you see, basically I used PSSI, and based on this condition, I was able to look the active job profiles. Now if I have to search for anything, there are multiple fields there. If I just go ahead and look into all, what I'm not asking for written value, I know that these fields are available in job profile. I'm asking for lookup field. How do you know that this is the field that is connecting these two business objects? There is no, as such, any relationship. You have to understand through business object. What did I say? That when you go into the business object, right? Let me show it. Instead of ESI, if instead of the field that we have created, if I use candidate, will it be using the same with the job profile? No, that will not use the job profile. Why will it use job profile? If you want to use any other field, any field that you're using, it could be candidate, right? It's not there. Let's search if I have anything. See, I have candidate now. Based on that, you see your business objects changes, right? Right. How will you know that what field I have to use? You have to get into the business object. You have to type in VO, and you want to see the field of job profiles. What are there? Basically what you're trying to search. Based on that, you have to use the business object. Are you getting the point? I just showed you the use of lookup. That, how is lookup used in your daily life? That I want to search something. I can go ahead and use a lookup related value. But if you have to understand that I need a relationship, that relationship can be seen from here only. There is no other way because in Workday the relationships are not exposed. The relationships are hidden. And if I have to find it, I'll have to go into the business object, get into the links. Then only I'll be able to understand. This is a relationship. This relationship is between a job profile and worker. Let's say I just show it to you. If I just search for worker, we have worker compensation code, that is the actual business object. And you have 3 fields which is related to it. These are the fields of job profile which is being used by this. Now, when you go into this section and then you look for worker, you see because worker here is my related business object, right? And you see the number of fields that it has. This is what I'm asking. There are 33 fields. How do I know which one I should use? I can use anyone. It all depends upon the usability. That what exactly are you trying to extract? I used all job profiles, right? It gave me all the job profiles. Now, these are all different type of fields. If you need to know what this field is, you have to get into that field, right? Then only it will tell you that why exactly this field has been created. And if this has been created, what is the basic use of it? Whenever you have to build reports, this relationship has to be found, because without this relationship, you may not get the exact field. What I have to use in my report, knowing the related business object is very important in Workday because you cannot query anything. You cannot actually get into a document and you will see that there is a relationship and this is linked with this particular table. I can actually get it because there is no schema document available. This is the only way. We can call it a primary key or something like that. You can call it. There is no harm in calling that. But if you talk about Workday terminology, there is no concept of primary key or foreign key. Workday has not given any kind of definition of it, but yes, it follows the standard database practices. For anybody who is not from Workday background, you can call it. There is no harm in calling that. Because you can relate and you can, remember it easily. You can call it. But if you say that if the Workday has given any primary key or relationship, no. Workday has only given a related business object where you can go into it and see it. But who does not know the concept of C? There are people who are from functional background. Those who are not from technical background, right? Let's say someone was working as HR and they moved into Workday because they know Workday, how they have used it. But if you ask them that, can you tell me what is the primary key which is connecting this particular two business objects? They will not know. They will not know the concept of primary key. Workday has made it simple that you call it as a related business object. It becomes very easy to tell that there's a two business objects and these are the fields by which you are able to connect these two tables. Or you can say business object. It becomes very easy for a non-IT person also to get into Workday very easily. That's another reason why this, tool is expanding in the market, like, crazy at the moment. People, those who are from HR background, they're easily jumping onto Workday because it's a more on 90% configuration. There's no coding here. I hope you get it. Right. Thank you. Ashish Priyanka here. I wanted to understand this. Like we started with this. Actually, we had a concept like when we create or when we, when we see that two business objects needs to be connected to have the third field in place. Or take an example. When I have to link A equals to B equals to C in SQL, basically what we do, or in any other tool what we do, we create a unique key and we can join the tables. A. But in Workday, what I understand, what we have to do when we have to connect A equals to B equals to C, we have to find the key which will connect A to B. Then we have to find a key which will connect B to C. Is that logic? Correct? That is correct. And another thing what we did here If you know SQL, you would see what you do in your outer joins. If you talk about outer joint, what does that do? If I run this report, I have now used joints. If you're talking about SQL terminology, let's understand that this is using joints. I am actually not able to bring the values because that there is no relationship. What did I do? Basically, I used the concept of an outer joint, brought the value here and displayed the value as per my requirement. Correct. Correct. This is exactly following the database concept, but if you talk in Workday terminology, it is not exposed in such a way that you can explain it. The other person who may not be from a SQL background may not understand it. Are you getting the point? When you are specific to a tool, let's say Workday, you have to be very specific about that terms, which is basically used in Workday. The other person who is trained on Workday may not be trained on SQL. They will not understand what you're saying. Does that make sense? Everybody. Guys, I just want to make sure that no one in this team has any confusion because this is very, very important topic that what we have seen today. It looks like I don't have any questions. You are good with it. That's cool. Let's discard it because I don't want to change anything right now. Then let's see some interesting things that what we can actually do. We have seen three types of field as of now. We have seen a conditional field, how we can use a true, false. Right. Then we have seen a field which extracts the value. Now extraction can be two ways. It could be single. It could be multi-instance, right? What do you mean by single and multi? Can anybody help me? What type of fields are single instance field and what type of fields are multi-instance field? The one that we saw the compensation grade, that was multi-instance. No, that was multi-instance field. I'm sorry, I got confused. And then we extracted the single instance from that. Let's say in an address, when you have to put the address, you get the list of countries there, right? What kind of field is that? Multi-instance. Multi-instance. Because from there I'm choosing one value, but it has multiple values in that. Correct. It is not a checklist. Basically, there is a radio button that you have to choose. That you can consider that as an example. Radio buttons can be called single instance. It is multi-instance, right? Because you are getting multiple values. What's selecting one? Multi-instance fields are of two types. Multi-instance, where you can select only one value, and multi-instance field, where you can select multiple values, like where you have check boxes. That is also a multi-instance field. Another example which can, clarify that. Let's say I am trying to build up my job profile on a job portal. You build your job profiles, right? Like on Nogari or Monster or any other, places. It will ask you that you are looking for job in which cities. Correct. They will ask you. You can choose multiple cities, but there is a limit. You can choose either 3 or 4. I don't know. It's been long that I've done that. When you choose that again, there is a list there, right? You have a list of values, but you are able to choose only one. 3. You cannot go and choose 4 values. Correct. But that list itself is a multi-instance field. That's the reason they're giving you multi-instance values. And there you are choosing multi-instance values as well. But if it is an address and where you are putting the country, then you are choosing only one value out of that multi-instance field, right? This is all also we have to keep in mind when you actually build the report. I hope it's clear to everybody. But how do we use multi-instance fields? I have used multi-instance after extracting single instance. I have not used any multi-instance field. We can use that. It's very, same thing. To be very honest, I can go ahead and get multi-instance value. There's no problem. We can just add it right. We don't need to do anything. We can just add a field. Like we added first name, last name. Like how? This is how we can use it right. You can use anyways. Multi-instance means basically accept one value. You can extract multiple values. See you use this lookup field, right? Lookup up. What did it do? What did it do? Basically, it brought in the multiple values. Right. That's a kind of multiple instance field. You're displaying it. But let's say on the compensation grade itself, I do not want a specific value. And then I would not have used this one single instance. I could have used multi-instance field there. Right. Are you getting? Dependence is like a multi-instance. Dependents are like multi-instance. What you said is absolutely correct. Do you know what is a concatenation? Sorry to interrupt. Ashit, I have one question. Since we have worked on a single instance extract and we are talking about multi-instances, we usually have requirements when there are multiple instances of the field, but we have to extract the middle instances. That is one requirement. And second is whenever we use single instance extract. I wanted to understand how do we use those special occurrences. You have that value right. That which instance you want to return. Do you remember that? Let me show it. Calculated fields edit. Where is that? But it can be different for different employees, right? For example, we saw that Manish has 3 composition grades. Correct. What if I had 4 and I had 5 and I want to see the third one? Will it give a third of every person or how do we use it? Actually, those who have the third value, only those values will be displayed. Rest, everything will be blank. Right. That is the reason you need to know what is the instance that you are extracting. Let's see. Let's see that. Where is that now? I just forgot the name. If we can see this example on job requisition, business object. I think that has any business object you want to do, there is no problem. We have multiple steps for a candidate stage. If we are on screen screening, then there are multiple steps. We don't know how. I am not sure if I have access to those business objects, but we can try. There is no problem. Let's say bio business, object screen right. The business, object to job requisition. Job requisition? Because that is a part of the recruitment module, but I don't know it's given to me or not. Job requisition right. That's what you said. I think I have. Let's see. What field you are saying here? Each. I think stage. I think age is basically calculated. Stage. I have a bad habit of making a spelling mistake. You're talking about offer stage, last candidate, last recruiting stage. Let's see what this field is. You got multi-instance first of all. And there is a recruiting stage, Workday owned. That is also a business object. Guys, you see this? This is also important to understand. Then it says recruiting stage with active candidates. Let's look into this. Let's see how. What exactly does this value bring? Just hold 1 minute. It says recruiting stage with active candidates. That's a field name. That's on job requisition description. All stage for job requisition with active candidates. Of course, it's a work that delivered fields, a standard field. Categories recruiting, authorize your default areas. Now, what exactly is your question around it? That is what I am trying to understand. Recruiting stages will have multiple values. Yes, values like screen interview, ready to hire background check. Correct, correct. Let's try to bring that value in our report. Let's see how exactly it looks like. Can you search for step field also on this? That is compensation now. Require compensation. No, that field is not here. Because that's what I said, right? This is not customized. It is actually having those fields which is in the standard part of your recruitment for you, right? This will not give you all the fields. Then I think we cannot take it as an example, right? We need steps. Ashish, what we are trying is job requisition has various events. Like interview is one event, screening is one event, background check is one event. And in those events, since we have taken example of screening, there are multiple steps. And it tends to happen that we have to bring those steps into the report. Since it's multi-instance, it doesn't come column-wise. That is our requirement. Oh, column-wise, it will not come right. Because it has a value like how you got the active job profiles right. What did we do? We got all the values there. Correct, correct. Now what you have to do is you have to put the filter on candidate. When you put a filter on candidate, whatever the active candidates are right. That candidate is equal to active or something in that way. Then what will happen? That only active candidates will be there and it will give you that. What exactly is the stage where that employee is? And you have to use a single instance there. Basically, you have to extract the single instance value. And that is the reason. And choose the last updated value. And that is the reason I was asking what is the difference between the special occurrence. Can we pull the data from the middle of the process? Yes, you can. There is no problem in that, but you need to know which is that middle. You have to know what that middle is. Is it like 3, 4, or 10? Or if it is 20 things, what is that middle? You have to know that value. Can we see any candidate profile that will be able to understand better any of the candidate profiles? Sure, if there is a candidate profile, but we can take a look. And how that special occurrence will work. If we are taking last occurrence, then it is taking the latest one. If I have any report for candidate or active candidate, candidate. Let's look at this report. We have candidate flow. We have candidate. You want to use that? Let's use that. Candidate flow. This is my report. This is an indexed report, right? You see that. Starting requisition open date. Let's say I'm putting it for 1st of July, ending 31st of July. And I don't know if there are actually values or not. Let's try to see. I've got 3 values, Nancy Singh, and these are the things that I have. Tell me. Now you tell me what you were trying to help me understand here. I think we still don't have that step field. Can you scroll? Right. Now that's what you're trying to say is basically. That is, a custom field that would have been put in your system, wherever that is. That data is in business process history, and one candidate is in interview, and then he's going through multiple steps. First round of interview, second round of interview, third round of interview, additional round. There can be multiple rounds. We don't know. Everybody is going through the same rounds. There will be candidates who is going through only round 1 and then he's getting selected. Then there will be candidates who are going through second round, additional, performing all these steps. There are multiple dates for round 1, that this is the date that the interview work schedule, and then this was the date that this person came for the interview, and this is the date that the round 1 is moving to round 2. Sometimes there are 3 dates, sometimes there are 2 dates, sometimes there are 4 dates. And business is saying that we want the date of the round 1 and then the completed date and then the date of the second round. There, we are not able to understand which occurrence we have to take because there is no proper step name, the field that we are trying to see. In the system, there is no proper name. How will they know? Your client will know that they are in round 1 or round 2. How will they know? They go to that business history and that's how they see it. And that's how they show us. In the business history, do you have a field called step there? What is happening? We see that field as step in the UI user interface that we are seeing the front end. But in the back end that field, sometimes that fields, if I'm getting that field name as step for interview, it is not possible that the same field is used for screen or for background check. There are multiple fields, and that is also different for multiple. For one candidate, it is taking step for 1. It is business process type for business process step. That is where we are confused which field to take. Actually that field is not there with me, right? I could have understood. I'm sure it is some kind of custom field which has been created. And basically understand, from where that value is coming on to step. That is where you have to put a filter there. See, because you are saying that sometimes it is taking the step of the business process. Sometimes it is taking the process of, basically step of any other thing. Like in interview. Is it in first round, second round? There should be a particular field which is capturing it. You may have to create some calculated fields, which is capturing where exactly is the person right now. Can it be related to integration? Can it be integration related issue where we are seeing on the front end, we are seeing only one field, but in the back end, it is not related to integration? Are they trying to use any other tool there for scheduling interview or anything else that we are not shown? They are using the same. They are using Workday only. Ashish, I am just trying to, clear things in my head. What we are talking in a candidate business process, when we have a screen as an event, and in that screening event, we have 4 steps. And the requirement is from those 4 steps, I have to take step number 3, which is round 3 in my report. And after that, I wanted to show after this round 3, this candidate moved to the next step, could be any step after screening. He moved to interview step. Interview event, and our confusion is whenever, because single instance extract give us the top of the stack data or the last of the stack data. It doesn't give us the any middle event. There is a business object which is job application update. Have you seen that? Yes, job application we have. Yes, we have. If you see this updated on and updated by worker, basically it will give you an idea that what exactly has been updated and which is that business object or related business object. You see, this job application is the main business object which you have to look into. In this, the person will know in which stage they are, whether they are in, interview or screening or interview, correct. You will have that value in this particular field. Here, it should have what you're saying. We have step or stage, whatever it is. Let's check it. As I stated, write business process. Sometimes it is business process steps, sometimes it is steps. That's where you have to understand that which could be that field which you are able to see. And that is what you have to identify. I understood your requirement right. And I understood that this could be in the job application, business object, right? And from there only I could see that this is a job application step. Now within the job application step, what exactly is this? Let's try to understand that first. See, it's a text field. But other job application things. Let's see what are the other options we have. Don't have anything else. Let me add step. Business process steps. And then there are steps, the last one. That's right. We can add filter and then try to see what is this. What are tests? Now, which means it is getting updated right. The business process for which the stage and the step within that business process for this active disposition, job application, or this is not the right business object. You may have to find the right business object. That's what I'm trying to understand, which could be that right business object which will give you that value. Maybe it could be a candidate which is going through those stages, right? You have to get the right field And if you have got the right field, based on that, you can use any calculated field. Calculated field, concept is same. It will not change. But what you're trying to help get the value is, how will I get the middle value? For that, you have to get what are the values that are there in that particular, in the particular field. Then only you will be able to get the middle value. Or you will have to find out what is the latest update. The latest update. You have seen that I can use the single instance and get the last value. The last value will be the latest one. At least you will know that any particular candidate is in which stage right now. Yes, actually that itself is very challenging and complex for us because some steps we are taking from the event, which is the business object, and some steps we have to take it from the business process, where business process itself is object. Business process itself is object. That is true. It's an object. To combine those both and bring those in the report while taking the middle values becomes the challenge for us. And at that moment, we try to find out that what calculated field we should use and how we should extract the multi instances. That is fine. You can extract the multi instances field, but for that you have to find out which is that related business object. First of all, this is your key. If you know the exact business object, then you can use CSI lookup whatever you want to do. There is no problem in that. Or you want to extract multi-instance, there is no problem in that. You know the calculated fields, but where you have to apply, you have to find that in the related business object, because that is going to be a condition. That field is not available here. I think you cannot check it. Can we take the same example, the job profile one that we were taking? If you want to see the third occurrence, you can, there is no problem. We want to see if it is taking it in descending order. The first top three from the descending or from the ascending. This is a practice and I don't know if it will have more data or not. But we can try, there is no problem in that. What was that? CB1 underscore C underscore ESI. Let's try to search it. We should get it. Let's edit. If you could have used your tenant, do you have the access right now? Yes, we do. We can go into specific occurrence. Maybe I'll say I want third. I'll go ahead and click on, but I'll have to remove that. Guys, you know the report where I have filters and everything right. Then only I'll get the right value. What was the report? It was CB1 underscore advanced, right? See, I'm not getting any value because there is no third occurrence for anything. Got it. This is because everything is dependent upon now this particular. Sorry, where is my job profile? Everything is dependent upon this. Now, if I don't have a third occurrence, I'm not going to get anything right. These things play a very, very important role. Alright, I hope you got the understanding. And if we have a multi-instance and there are 3 values, if we are able to select 3 cities, Pune, Mumbai, Nashik, if we are selecting these 3 cities and I want to remove Pune from it and I want to see only 2 cities, how do we do that? Will it be substring function? We'll be using. You can use substring. You can use substring. There is no problem in that. Substring is used for that kind of work only. Guys, these are all you know. If you see substring, it will extract a portion. But again, it will extract a portion of a text. If you're trying to extract the value, let's say I am, my name is Devashish Sharma, and in that I want to extract only the first 3 letters of my name. Then in that case, I'm going to use substring. But what you're saying is you have 3 values. I'm going to use one value out of that. Correct. There you can't use substring because substring is used on text. You're saying that these are separate values. Correct. As it is separated by comma space. Comma space, then you can use substring. There is no problem. Then you can use. Different type of functions like text length right. I mean, these are very small calculated fields that you may have heard before also. Do you know what is a text length? Length of the text. Length of the text. Then you would have heard about concatenation, right? What is that concatenation? Joining two strings or numbers. And then in the arithmetical calculations, you may have heard about build date. What is a build date? Building a date in a format that you want. Basically, you build a function which is going to give you a date. Maybe it's a user's time zone or you want to have a specific way of writing that. That is what is going to give you the date and time. Concatenation, you have understood. Then converting currency. But for that you have to maintain the currency rate types. If you don't have the currency conversion rate, then you cannot do that. That will be something where your finance team will come into picture to convert that. Otherwise, we cannot do anything in that. And converting text to a number. Like you said, I want to concatenate to number. For that, you have to convert that number to text, and then you can concatenate. I mean, to be honest, we don't have such any very important calculated field now because you know the main conceptual part. You have already understood. I just share this document with you. The document contains all the calculated fields, whether it is lookup related value or lookup translated value or lookup value of a date, because the main concept is how exactly am I going to use it. Now you have understood how to use a conditional field, calculated field. Then you have understood how to go ahead and basically look up a related value. Basically, you need to search it. And the third thing is basically how you go ahead and extract it. Whether you want to extract multi or a single, it does not matter. The concept remains same. It will not change anything. Then you also know how to use substring. Basically, I have to cut the first 3 values of a particular text and I have to bring that in front of me. Like you have some code. I want to bring the code. I can do that using substring because code is generally a text. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@uptalk.com.